had not even met since the game the other day, and so at Iowa, we had to, because of the three games in 7 days, we had to take yesterday off. So it's given the coaches a lot of time to look at film, and also the kids a day off to just get ready for a stretch of game Wednesday against Minnesota, then a game on a short turnaround again. So there's going to be a great film session going to happen in about a half an hour. I think our kids will learn a lot about what we can do to compete against great teams like Iowa, and I mean a great team. So it was going to be very helpful for us. We continue to get encouraging news about Karras. He's doing more and more right now, on and off the court. We expect on and off the court going forward. Have no date yet, and we'll see how his pain, how he tolerates any pain going forward.
Simon, why don't you start us off?
Coach, when you look back at the last 3 games and your next 4 games, I know you never like to discount upcoming opponents, but does it feel like an opportunity?
I don't even know we're playing the next 4 games. I do know that we're going to Nebraska because I'm doing something.
I guess when you look at Minnesota and then Nebraska coming up in the stretch you have, does it feel like an opportunity where not necessarily must wins, but we can take?
Still no must wins. You know that. Not this time of the year. But yeah, this is the way you got to look at it always. Every home game. You saw how difficult it is to win on the road. You know that. We all know that. I don't care if you're in baseball, if you're in football, you're in hockey. Difficult to win on the road. So you got to win at home, and that's what this is. It's an opportunity to win at home against a team that is scrappy and feisty. Played a heck of a game against Indiana the other day. So young, developing, and that's what this is.
And then in regards to Karras, you mentioned on court and off court. What's he been able to do on the court?
Very little, just light shooting. That's all we've wanted him to do.
Brendan?
He is out for tomorrow, though, I would assume. If he has not
I would assume so, yeah, I would assume so. But we'll, barring anything, we only got 1 day to measure it. But he'll be in his practice uniform today, and you say he does some light shooting, he does some ball handling, he does different things.
With Mortz, in terms of getting kind of stable playing down, kind of redefining a role, maybe, what would be kind of a game plan to be able to establish that here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, as you know, you are who you can guard, and so this is, his physical strength has been demanding for him to try and guard some of the big bodies we were playing earlier. Now the other day he's out there trying to chase around Utah, and that didn't work out so well. So he's got a lot of areas there as an 18-year-old trying to figure out how to guard people, especially the really experienced ones. So that's the plan, is can he help us, where can he help us and not really be mismatched defensively? And he'll get better and better. When that young man is, 6 feet, he'll probably end up being 6'11" and 250 or 245 pounds. I think he'll be able to guard either position.
And his, whatever you want to call it, court awareness or kind of just, knowing of assignments on the fly, where has he progressed in that area?
I think good. I think it's that old. The good news is he can really see the floor. The bad news is he can really see the floor because he'll have to turn it over and do things that are, probably a little chancy. One of our big issues is the turnover issue. Is that if you look at the games that we've lost, turnovers have been a huge part of it. And you just look at his assists and his turnovers. Look at all our guys. That's got to be an issue with us. We don't have a lot of room for error. When we waste possessions, that's not good.
Swing over here to Chris.
You gave Aubrey a big hug during the game.
Yeah.
What was that about?
It was about his assist. He made a beautiful backdoor pass that he's been working at. If you look at his assist numbers last year, him and Muhammad, they were not good. And we celebrate every assist those two get as they continue to see the game differently from, being guys in high school that didn't have to pass it much. They did a lot of scoring, and he realizes that he can do these things, but he's got to have the right angles. He's got to attack downhill. He's got to be better with both hands. So it was good because it was a play not called. It was read. That was probably just as much a part of it. We called it dribble at, and he dribbled at and got it. And Mo read his dribble at, and it was beautiful.
And then I think one analyst said that when it comes to Karis, you guys as a team are still pretty efficient offensively. Do you run the numbers on that with and without Karis?
Well, no, I know that during this time, we're at about a point per possession, somewhere along there. And that's good. I mean, that's really good. I mean, Purdue was certainly, that was difficult to score against them. But we were able to score on Maryland. We were able to score the other night somewhat. With the 13 turnovers is something that probably Karis wouldn't allow us to do that just because we play through them more. But that's what's cutting down our numbers right now.
Mark?
John, Val had mentioned last night that maybe playing the two big guys together, you're also trying to get Zach some rest as well. Is that part of the logic?
Which big guy?
Oh, you played Moritz and DJ together?
Yeah, that's,
Getting
Zach.
Zach.
Putting some length. A guy like Utah's just going to shoot over guys. So we put him out there for a little bit. Same thing, and he's in a different stage than Maurice is of guarding the 4 and the 5. I mean, he's a year better, but they're still struggling to. Okay, I got to do this against this guy, and I got to do this, and I got to see the man and see the ball, but I'm 25 feet from the basket. Now I'm help side. There's a lot of issues that do it, but DJ has a quickness to make up right now for mistakes sometimes, and as he gets better, he'll do it. So we keep trying to do that.
So with two bigs, though, those are kind of the two bigs you play together?
Yeah, I don't see the other two just yet. I hope that, we can morph into the future as this shot clock, I think I have to look at some ways that we can be more efficient, if not this year, in the future, of Maurice, because I think he really can pass of playing the two bigs. But again, can they guard you play the two bigs, but when the other people have a guy like Utah at their 4 position, how are you going to guard that with two bigs? That's going to be hard.
Right up here with John.
I want to get your thoughts on the freedom of movement rules and how you've seen them be applied so far this year.
I think they've been very good early. I think they were shocking. I think right now, I think the officials have a pretty good feel on what to call and not to call. But there's still been some timely calls in games that just don't make sense, right? Because I just watch it more. There's more bumping that's being allowed than was allowed earlier in the year. But it's not like it used to be, so it's better. But I just think they still, if that's going to happen, you can't reinforce that rule, with 4 or 5 minutes to go in a game, in a tight game. You can't say, okay, now I'm going to call it. It's game-changing plays. And so that's the issue I think that we're still going to struggle with. Are they going to, is it slowly getting back to being more physical? And when the timeliness of those calls? Set a precedent early, everybody's good with that. But you can't go the next 20 and then clamp it down the next 10. That's not fair either.
Right up, you got them?
Yeah. You mentioned that margin of error. Does this team have a shorter or smaller margin of error than most that you've coached?
Tough about most. We're talking a lot of years.
How about at Michigan?
At Michigan, I mean, to be where we want to be, we have to be. Some of them had a big margin of error because we just weren't good enough. This team can be good enough if they are very efficient with their game. We showed that with Maryland and North Carolina State and Texas. We showed that we can play, but the margin of error there was the same. But we just didn't make I don't think we had the turnovers, nor did we and we shot the ball well. But we're still a very, very young team. When you got your 2 seniors sitting there and either dressed or in warm-ups, we are still learning on the fly, and that's not good for teams that make a lot of mistakes.
Do you have benchmark numbers in terms of how many turnovers you can allow? Or I think right now the matching number seems to be about 12 for made threes in some of these games.
Yeah, I mean 10 and 10 I think is what we want, less than 10 turnovers. We can make 10 threes if that's what they're going to give us.
Right.
If they're going to give us the threes, and I think threes are obviously this team is built. These teams are built to play any way people play us. They're not just built to shoot threes, but if people pack it in, you got to be able to shoot threes. So if you make 10 threes and you have less than 10 turnovers, you have a chance to win a lot of games.
In the back with Jacob.
We've talked a lot about this last 3-game stretch as a group, and even though you guys came out of it 1-2, you kind of you're in all 3 games, and all things considered, without Karras, is probably better than a lot of us expected. Is there any kind of major conclusions you can draw from that stretch going forward?
Yeah, that we're growing as a team. This has been great opportunities for Derek Walton and Zach Muhammad, all to make significant strides. Duncan was coming into this as a bit of just a role player, a stretch guy that can just open up the floor for people. And now, because Karras is gone, we're looking for other ways that we get him open as people continue to guard him. You know, the same. They're not letting him get catches. They're not letting him see the basket, I mean, beyond NBA range. So we're trying to get him open, but we're also trying to use that 4-on-4 game, I call it, when they're just standing there with him on the weak side. So there's been really good residual effect. The silver lining is that these guys are getting better in Karras' absence.
Back over here with Chris.
How concerned are you about the conditioning level, Karras' conditioning level when he comes back?
You haven't had many of these situations where a guy was out. It has not worked, did not work well with Jordan Morgan, did not work that well with Mitch McGarry after they've been out for a while. You can see Zach Irvin in the Xavier game and those early games was not himself, just coming back. There's usually a time that is very difficult. And we know who he is, but I'm not expecting miracles coming back out of this thing. We expect him to just get through it. You know, we still have 13 games left. You know, obviously all in the league. This is still a long season right now, and that's why we got to look at this big picture and bring him along slowly when he does return.